Layers are an immensely powerful way to make edits to images. What we're going to do is apply a really cool effect to these eyes to make every fleck show. I've saved some selections for you, and technically, channels are selections that have been saved. If you want to get really specific, they're called alpha channels. But I'm going to click back on Layers, and I'm going to start with Select, Load Selection. There are two channels, the eyes and the eyelashes, but you could also create one of your own with the eye whites. It's just a little tricky in this image because of the hair over the eyes, but I've covered that for you. So with the channel eyes, when I click OK, you'll see the marching ants indicating that's selected. I'm going to hit Command+ or Control+ to zoom in. And I'm bringing the eyes into view, leaving room for the dialogue that I'm going to bring up. Now, I don't want to do anything destructive. I want to make sure that these are fully editable changes. That way, if the model's unhappy or the client's unhappy, you can back it down. But under the Filter menu, you can choose Convert for Smart Filters. When I do, you'll notice the background layer becomes named. The Convert for Smart Filters, after I click OK, has embedded the original shot inside this layer. This is technically a Smart Object layer, and this is the Smart Object thumbnail. And I'll name it Model. Now we can safely run any available filter. Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask, which is my favorite way to sharpen. Smart Sharpen is wonderful too, but Unsharp Mask is a term that came from the old camera days when they would actually photograph through a screen and put an unsharp mask sheet over it to emphasize the edges. So when I choose Unsharp Mask, I always teach my students, it's unsharp, let's mask it. You'll notice it's only impacting the selected area. And if we did it to her whole face, that would just be cruel, so we aren't going to do that. The settings are typically much lower than what I have. I was experimenting earlier. So it starts at 50%, and what these numbers mean is, would you like it 50% sharper than when you started? I can move it up to 100% sharper, 150% sharper, or 200% sharper. And I really just want to watch the eyes here and ignore this preview because it's not going to do it to the whole face. In fact, to see better what it's doing, I'm going to choose View, Extras to hide the marching ants, but that will leave the selection on. And for most images, Unsharp Mask is beautiful if you've up-sampled or added resolution or dimension to an image to bring back detail you lost by increasing the size. It's also great for scanned images to add back detail lost in scanning. But with eyes, you can really go too far. Most people wouldn't go above 200, but with eyes, to really make them jump, you can. Now the radius is the thickness of the sharpening line, and in this case, it will make for a much deeper edge of darkness right at the tip where the eye whites meet the iris. So as I dial this up, whew, it can get really crazy. So it's basically smudging 3.8 pixels together at the edge. So you can go for smaller numbers depending on how sharp you want it, or larger numbers to almost create completely new tones and colors. By smudging 12 pixels, all the blue in her eye pushed out the yellow and green that's right near the pupil. So this can just really show you what is in an eye and all the colors that exist there. So you could see the real light blue originally with a little bit of yellow and green. All right, I'm going to go too far because I know I can back it down. So when I hit OK, and I'll zoom out with Command- or Control-, it's safely applied Unsharp Mask. If I click the eye icon, here's before, little flat and dull, although a beautiful shot, a compelling shot. Turn it on again, and it just electrifies the image, as if she's peering into your soul, I feel like. Now let's do one more thing to make the eyes more compelling. Burn the eyelashes a little. Most women wear mascara, and even if we don't, our eyelashes are typically a little darker than our hair color. It looks to me like the blacks in our eyelashes are a little flat, and often that can be caused because the makeup artist will do a touch-up of eyeshadow and it will fall on the lashes, so they tend to get too light. And to really improve the contrast and again make the eyes the focal point, I will choose Select, Load Selection, and choose the eyelashes, which I've saved for you. When I click OK, you'll see marching ants around the eyelashes, and again I want to make a non-destructive edit. Fully editable tomorrow after you save and close the file. As long as you keep the layers, you've not harmed this image in going for a special effect or eyes that really jump out at you. So in my Layers panel, I'm going to click at the bottom, Create New Fill or Adjustment Layer, and I'll choose Levels. And don't worry that Levels looks very flat. It's because it's only loaded the data for the eyelashes. So I want to make them darker, and I'll take the black slider in Levels to the right. And notice it's not impacting anything but the eyelashes. But that improves contrast between the whites of our eyes and the skin, again making the image pop. You could also adjust the midtones a little darker, and that will help the eyeshadow around her eye. So it's up to you how far you go. I'm going for a surrealistic effect, so I'm going farther than I normally would, but I really wanted you to see what this is doing. So if I zoom out and turn off the unsharp mask, there's before. Turn off the eyelashes, there's before. That little bit just helped, but for the surrealism, I'll turn on the unsharp mask, and now I just can't help but think of Tiger. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed this lesson of fully editable, non-destructive smart filters with unsharp mask and levels on a selected area in a photo. In this case, I chose the eyes, but hopefully I've enlightened you to all the power you have once you learn how to use selections. And technically, these are layer masks with smart filters and adjustment layers.